Hello, this is Hafsa James, and these are the main stories brought to you by Good Morning Zealand. Next, we'll hear from our very own Aaliyah in an in-depth interview with Petra, the strongest telepathic in Zealand. Thank you, Hafsa. This is Aaliyah Williams, and this is an exclusive interview with Petra. After the horrific battle last week between the Waknuks and the Fringes people, Zealand's army was able to fly over and drop webs on them, saving Petra and bringing her here to Zealand. It's great to have you here in Zealand, Petra.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So, how does it feel like living in Zealand?
It's incredible. I love the feel of the city and lights, big lights.
Well, we're happy just to have such an intelligent and strong telepathic living amongst us. Can you tell us how you are able to compel and command the way you do? I mean, how do your powers work?
I don't really know. In Waknuk, having telepathic powers was considered a blasphemy. Luckily, no one knew until last week, and that was when my brother, sister-in-law, and I ran to the Fringes. Tribulation was also feared, and I truly thought my ability was going to cause an apocalypse, so I never explored how my abilities developed. It really just comes naturally. When I was younger, it only worked when I was in danger, but as I learned how to use it, I was able to control.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Speaking about your progression through life, how has your life changed since the battle last week?
My life has changed drastically. I was born and raised in a narrow-minded society where any kind of deviation was punished and everyone was scared of tribulation. Where if a crop was different in any way, it was called offensive, and you had to burn all of your crops. If any animal was missing or had an extra feature, you had to slaughter the animal. If you didn't look like the image of man, you were sent to the Fringes with nothing. So far, living in Zealand is incredible. I don't know how else to describe it. Everyone is so accepting and appreciates my difference. Although there has been some things I had to get used to.
Things like what?
Well, the overall physical aspect of things. I lived in rural areas my whole life, and suddenly I'm in Zealand where there are tall, long buildings. Oh, and that thing that moves without a horse and cart. Oh, cars, and those things that fly, they look like fish, helicopters.
Yes. I can only imagine. How do you deal with that adjustment?
Having my brother David and sister-in-law Rosaline has helped me. They too have telepathic powers and understand how it feels living here and being exposed to many new things.
Do you miss Waknuk?
I don't. It's kind of just a memory now.
Well, I have 5 video questions for you, asked by the public. Shall we take a look now?
Yes. All right.
Here we go.
Would you consider joining the government because of your ability to command and compel?
I would do anything Zealand needs of me. I feel honored to even be here.
What has been your favorite part of Zealand so far?
Definitely. When we were flying in the helicopter over the city, it was exhilarating. I never felt like that before in my life.
How does it feel like being the strongest telepathic in Zealand?
To be honest, I don't pay attention to that, although everyone waving and giving me gifts has been amazing.
If you had 3 words to describe yourself, what would they be and why would you choose them?
Wow, that's a mind-scrambling one. I would say I'm interested because of my background. I'm accepting because I understand how it feels to feel unwanted. I would say I'm unpredictable because I do many things that is completely shocking to people.
Okay, third one.
What do you think we should do to the non-telepathic citizens of Zealand?
Well, in Waknuk, if you don't look like the image of a man, you are sent to the Fringes, where there's no food or place to live. I believe that's the wrong way to treat human beings. Everyone should be treated the same. The different physical appearances or mental abilities don't matter. It doesn't matter. I just can't stress that enough. We all deserve the same amount of respect and equal rights. And definitely we shouldn't make the same mistakes again. Should we now?
Okay, well answers questions. Thank you so much, Petra, for your valuable time.
Thank you. I too had a great time.
This was an exclusive interview, and I am Aaliyah Williams signing off. Back to you, Hafsa. She is so humble and adorable. What a terrific girl. Today, our news reporter, Nikki, has a very special guest with her. The Zealand lady is here with her today to answer a couple of questions on the international events segment.
Hello, today with us we have the Zealand lady. Thank you for being here.
No problem, it's good to be here.
So, do you see yourself going to other countries and starting a war like you did in Wagner?
Well, they wanted to kill those wonderfully gifted people. I mean, have you seen Petra's ability? It's quite remarkable. But yes, if it's necessary, I would. It's really for their own good. For someone to live in those conditions is horrible. We are already making plans to attack other countries. With our advanced technology, we are sure to win. We need to find as much of our kinds as possible.
Do you think Zealand is governed in the same way as Wagner or has similarities?
No, not even. It's completely different.
But people here with no telepathic ability are looked down on.
Well, they're different, therefore they should be treated differently. It's not like we send them to the fringes like the people in Wapnak did and separate them from their families. In Zealand, the non-telepathic people are looked down upon, and that's all. No harm done.
True. Do you like the idea of people from Wagner, like David and Petra, coming and living in Zealand?
Yes, it creates diversity. They share their stories and create awareness for the people of Zealand, so they are more grateful. It also creates hope for all those other people in the telepathic abilities that are stuck in places similar to Wapnak. We want to expand our kind.
Of course. What do you think of other places and how they govern their countries, like the hairless tribes, the tribes with webbed feet and webbed fingers?
I'm trying to look out for my own kind and gather more of them. I have already the non-telepathic people in Zealand to deal with. Why bring more of this that's already not unwanted?
True. Well, thank you for coming here and answering all the questions. It was a pleasure to have you here.
It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, thank you. That's all I have for the international events segment. Back to you, Hafsa.
Well, after the war of the people of the fringes and the people of Wapnak was fought, many were killed and very few have survived. The Zealand army has gone back to this area where they have officially been named a part of Zealand, New Zealand. This has greatly affected our economy and business in many ways. Let's take you to the site with Miriam where this took place.
The fringes have been known to have a vast number of trees that are currently being shipped over to Zealand in large aircrafts. This has become a huge industry for us, but unfortunately in Wapnak there has been huge protests going on about the land being theirs and wanting it back. We are going to elaborate more on this issue when we come back, and we'll be interviewing Emily Storm, who is the spouse of Joseph Storm, who is no longer with us, unfortunately. We'll be back after this short interruption.
Oh, hey Zealand. Want to have more ability to communicate telepathically? Well, then this is a perfect drink for you.
It's available in all sorts of flavors.
That's some great juice.
I don't think you should that.
We are back and we have Emily Storm on the phone with us right now. How are you, Mrs. Storm?
I'm good, thank you.
Well, there have been many who've been trying to stop you and your people from protesting, but there seems to be no hope. And the land was never really the people of Wapnak's. So what has you and your people so upset?
The many people that were fighting, there was a large fire that burned everyone. A lot of people from Wapnak are now resisting, and it is really a big deal to us. Our main reason is really that we are trying to protect people of Zealand. The ground there kills people. What you call radiation?
There are a lot of people that are trained in this profession and know how to treat it. In fact, we can help a lot of the land that's outside of there, so there's less deviation rates. There's also another big issue that the people of Wapnak don't really like. Profit. The people aren't too happy that we are benefiting from this, especially because this lumber industry is helping our economy greatly. Why is this?
Money has been offered, and percentage and everything. But as I said before, this is not just the matter of economy and business, this land really has meaning to us, and we would like it to be under our watch again.
Thank you, Mrs. Storm. Glad we had the chance to talk to you today.
Pleasure was all mine.
Well, there you have it. Mary Storm talking about Waknak's point of view of this whole situation. But we would like to hear your questions and comments. We will also be having quite a few interviews on this topic throughout this week. That's all for the business and economy segment. Back to you, Hafsa.
And now we reach our last interview with our Doctor of Philosophy, Dr. Julia, who she's going to talk about how the technology is different from Waknak and Zealand, and what are the people's
Thank you, Hafsa. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zara Al-Rubai from Zealand, and today we have the most advanced Doctor of Philosophy, Dr. Julie, with us over the webcam. And she's going to talk about the technology we're being used last week between the Waknak and the Fringes fight. Good morning, Dr. Julie.
Good morning.
So today we have some questions for that we would like you to answer them, please.
Sure.
What do you think about Waknak's outlook in deviations?
They looked about it in a wrong way. I mean, they looked about it as a deviation, but it might be the effect of genetics. For example, if the family members are tall or short, it doesn't mean that they are sent by the devil. What we always have to remember is that we are all humans.
So what's the difference between the views of people of Waknak, people of the Fringes, and the people of Zealand and being different?
I'll just say this line.
The three of Waknak and Fringes people attacking Zealand.
Their weapons weren't advanced as much as Zealand's. They used swords, daggers, and spears, so they weren't much of a threat. Here's a video that I made earlier to describe what happened last week in the Fringes.
What's the technology that Zealand has which makes them ready to fight back? Okay, so for sure the Zealand people are the ones who win the fight. And that goes back to the technology that they have and how their country is more developed and advanced country.
Exactly, that's it.
Is David, Rosalind, and Petra's presence in Zealand made a big impact?
Of course, their presence in Zealand has made an impact, especially Petra's, because we now have the strongest telepathic in the world, and her ability isn't the same as others.
And our last question for you, Dr. Julia. What's the main difference between Waknak and Zealand?
Everything is different between Waknak and Zealand. Basically, Zealand people were using cars, helicopters, and boats for transportation, while Waknaks were using horses and wagons. Also, people's outlook on others is different. As well, Zealand has more houses than Waknak.
And here we have reached the end of our interview. Great answers, Dr. Julia. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. I truly had a great time.
Ladies and gentlemen, for watching us. See you.